Albert Einstein, the curious boy who changed the world and loved his hair. Once upon a time in a town of Germany, a little boy named Albert Einstein was born. He had no idea that one day he will become super famous, not just because his big brain, also because his super crazy hair. Yes, Albert Einstein's hair that stuck out in all directions, like he'd just rolled out of bed. Some say because he had too many thoughts in his head and no room for a comb. But Albert didn't start out looking like a mad scientist. In fact, he was quite a little boy who didn't speak until he was almost 4 years old. His parents were a bit worried, but Albert was busy thinking about the universe, stars, and probably why socks go missing in the laundry. When Albert was 5 years old, his dad gave him a magical gift, a compass. Albert was fascinated. The needle always pointed to north, no matter how he turned. It was like magic. He didn't know it then, but the little compass was a start of his big adventure into science. He spent so much time staring at the needle, and his mom had to remind him to eat his dinner. As Albert grew up, he went to a school, but it wasn't always fun for him. His teacher didn't understand why he asked so many questions. They probably thought, Albert, why do you need to know how fast light travels? Can you just sit quietly like the other kids? But Albert was curious. He wanted to know why the sky was blue, why the moon didn't fall down, and if time would move slower if he rode his bike really fast. Spoiler! It would. But we'll get to that later. When Albert was older, he'd moved to Switzerland, where he finally found a school that let him explore all those crazy questions. After school, he got a job in a boring office. But here's the funny part. While Albert was supposed to be checking other people's paperwork, he was secretly doing science. He'd sit in his desk, doodling big ideas about the universe in the margin of his paper. He probably thought, hey, I'm doing important work, just not the work they're paying me for. One day, while Albert was riding his bike, maybe that wild hair blowing in the wind, he came up with an amazing idea, the theory of relativity. It's all about time, space, and how things change when you move really fast. He figured out if you could move at the speed of light, time would slow down. Imagine if Albert rode his bike at light speed, he'd never be late for school again. Then he came up with a famous equation, E equals mc squared. Now don't worry, it isn't a math homework. It just means a tiny bit of matter that can turn into a huge amount of energy. So basically, if you ate a tiny cookie, it could power a whole city. Okay, maybe not exactly, but close. Albert's ideas were so brilliant that he won a Nobel Prize, which is like getting a giant gold star for being the smartest person in the room. He also helped us understand things like light and energy, and his discoveries led to cool inventions like GPS, solar panels, and maybe even your video games. But here's the fun fact. Even though Albert was a genius, he had some simple loves. He loved playing the violin and he loved ice cream. Yes, the man who could solve the mysteries of the universe also had a weakness for a big scoop of chocolate ice cream. Albert, if I ride my bike really fast, will I time travel?
Well, if you could ride your bike at the speed of light, yes, time would actually slow down for you.
Wow. So if I eat ice cream really fast, can I finish it before emails?
Not quite the same, but if you eat it fast enough, you definitely enjoy it before it melts.
I love my ice cream.
Albert Einstein once said, imagination is more important than knowledge, which means it's great to learn things, but it's even more awesome to use your imagination. So, if you ever dream of inventing a flying car or a time machine, keep dreaming, it might just happen. And if you're wondering why his hair is so wild, maybe because he spent all his time thinking and never have time for a haircut. Good night, and remember to stay curious and dream big, and do not forget your ice cream.